Uncle Guido here, coming at you one more time. We've been talking about astrology and that sort of shiznit.
Time goes by as we all know, naturally.
Living in the natural world.
People come and people go, naturally. Let's be natural. Ever since the world began.
Alright, folks. Alright. Old Uncle Guido here. If you'll recall, last time we were talking about the moon. Some of that stuff going on there. And I want to continue that. I still keep trying to get old Coco Fontaine out here, and she's on her way. But you know those Jersey gals, you know, they got little sitcoms and things to deal with anyway. So we've been talking about the moon. The old moon. That interesting orb, the biggest satellite in the known universe. Look at this card. Isn't this interesting? What do we see there? I see a moon, and there's these two gray towers. Have you ever heard of the Watchers on the Moon? Yes. We'll talk about that. And there's a crawdad, and there's a wild dog, and a domesticated dog. Now, the moon is said to rule our subconscious, our dream time. Has something to do with our emotions. Has something to do with those deep feeling sides of our understanding makeup. It's not quite logical. It's not quite left-brained, you know, the kind of stuff that old man's world prescribes, you know. Oh, he's just an emotional, silly little twit. Anyway, the moon. I'm telling you, I've been investigating this stuff. I really think that thing was put there on purpose, probably by the same people who put the pyramids on the planet. You know, these guys had access to a lot bigger technologies than our dumbed-down little culture can even fathom how to recreate. So anyway, the moon. It is a very interesting reflection of the true light of the sun. And many a power has come along and tried to usurp the power of the sun, the life giver of this entire solar system. And they say that once you evolve sufficiently through the various levels of incarnation and consciousness and non-consciousness and graduated from one step to another, one day you'll ignite into a little star all on your own. You're a shining star no matter who you are, right, Babu?
Definitely.
Definitely, Babu says. I know one when I see one, and the Babu, he's a rare one when I've ever seen one. Anyway, let's count how many times I say anyway today, shall we? That'll be fun. I'll give you a nickel for each time. You send me a postcard with a self-addressed envelope, and I'll nickel and dime you back, okay? Anyway, Uncle Guido here wants you to begin trying to consciously move into your dream space. I want you all to at least get a little notepad, or maybe you're journalers and you're used to this. But keep something by your bed. If you want to know about something, before you go to bed, pose the question. Write it down. Speak it aloud. That gives it vibratory life into the airwaves, and the universe knows what the hell you're talking about clearly. Don't waffle. Don't be wishy-washy. State your quandaries, your questions, your queries very succinctly, so that there's no gray area for, you know, kind of cryptic answers to come bombarding back upon you. You want clarity, right? Okay, I'm going to try and remain concise and clear for you all here. So, now, the moon. Some believe that there are watchers on the moon who watch over us. Some believe that they have enslaved us through the moon, through our emotional sphere, keeping us asleep, and thus the need to sleep. 1/3 of your life, if you're getting those full 8 hours, is spent in sleep. Can you imagine that, Babu? I mean, 1/3 of your life. Look what you could do with 1/3 of your life. Holy moly, I'm 60, you're 20. I've slept as long as you've been alive. Isn't that something? Holy Christ! And I thought I was the only one awake here. Anyway, you know how that was. Once you put down something on paper and go into the dream time, you can begin to program the subconscious to start relaying to you information from that side. And that side is very, very, very deep and unlimited. A lot of times we get hooked on these little patterns and dreams that seem to be just nothing but reminiscence of our day-to-day malarkey that we tend to extrapolate through in our quest for power and love and all the other things that are out there in the world. But what I'm trying to help you find success in is expanding your consciousness, getting to the point through your dreams, through focusing on the cyclic nature of the universe and how it unfolds around us, grasping your total consciousness by the huevos, and being able to direct that consciousness into your dream time. In the dream time, you're right there in fourth dimension. You can fly. Hey, you can appear in Paris like that at the top of the Eiffel Tower and shift over to the Great Wall. Once you get good at this sort of stuff, you can do anything. You can breathe underwater. You can, I really like the flying. How many of us, you go into a dream and you're flying around and you're like, oh, I knew how to do this, right? Right, Bob? You ever do that? Yeah. Everybody does that. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh shit, I'm flying. And I'm like, you start falling, and then you do a marvelous little swan dive and come out of it, and everything's groovy. I wonder if anybody's ever splatted and really died from a dream flight. I don't know. I'll have to investigate that. I know I can breathe underwater. How about you? Anyway, we have to get a handle on this subconscious realm, on the reasons why we are set up blindly on this planet to go through these lessons and break through that veil. And if you look at certain cards within the deck, there are only a few that represent any kind of where are you, pillars like we see on the moon there. See, those ones are all bleak and devoid of anything. But if you remember the teachings during the High Priestess phase, this veil blocks us from our total consciousness. It comes over us. We totally forget. The angel reaches out and swipes your little plinth right here. Plinthum. It's like a plinth or plinthum. It's this little divot under your nose. They say the angel reaches out and goes, and your memory gets erased just before you're born into a new little baby body. Anyway. So we are here in the realm of duality due to this cause and effect scenario here, and we have to look at our choices. Remember, the two was choices. Take that up a notch, and this is the 11-2, the card of justice, and lo and behold, here's these little pillars again. They're not quite as colorful. They're kind of fading out because between white and black is the middle path of gray. But the veil's still up there, and you've got to have passion. That veil is red now. It's blue with pomegranates here. There's something about pomegranates that really help you reach enlightenment. You might start munching on those, see what happens, huh? Anyway, here you got to have passion for life, for your spiritual quest, for the next phase, to balance the scales of justice and get to the next thing. Then, as we come down the path here, now remember, the tarot cards are stages of initiation. You must master each one of these little things. And I know we're jumping ahead, but I'm just pointing out all the ones with these towers. Now look at these towers on the moon. They're totally, bleak and devoid. And the whole key is the pathway of evolution. Coming up out of the sludge and the muck from the paramecium to the crawdad to the little mud puppy, and all of a sudden you're a puppy. And you're a wild wolf with nothing but wild things, and then you decide to sell yourself out to somebody and you become domesticated. Oh shit, is that where we're all at right now? Domesticated little doggies with our little computers and our things here, and our YouTube. So don't give up on Uncle Guido just because I said computers suck. They're handy little tools. Anyway. What is the point in this domestication of interacting with a civilization, with your community, your tribe, your country, your world? What is this? See, all these little phases come through in little chunks of wisdom. And a lot of this information is stored away in the subconscious. And remember, as I told you, as you begin to blend the hemispheres of your brain, working fully with your intuitive imagination side and your logical functioning side, the third eye begins to open harmoniously and can see things. This leads you to a widening bandwidth of your own perceptibility and puts you one step closer to your own enlightenment. And you, by God, you will begin to see things. I mean, Uncle Guido's here looking for a new lair to do his broadcasting in, and he's leaving his day job the other day, and he thinks, something tugs on my gut and says, go down this road, Uncle Guido, go down this road. So I drive down there, and lo and behold, I bump into these guys building this place, and they say they're going to rent it out. And I'm like, we'll put my name on the list. And I'm thinking, no. There's something a little further, So I drive down a little further, and here's this old place that I remember doing some sort of job at one point. And there's a big fat eagle, like this big, sitting on top of the roof. And I go, well, looky there, that's always a sign. I found another house one time with an eagle. And these eagles just kind of show up and they go, hey, Uncle Guido, check this pad, huh? This is pretty groovy. You could hang here. You could set up your lair and do some broadcasting here with our blessing. So I go down on the porch of this thing and I notice nobody's around. So I'm just kind of poking around, you know, looking through windows and stuff. And this eagle jumps over to a tree and he starts squawking at me. He starts going, I can speak eagle. Anyway, his buddy comes up and jumps in the tree. I think it was his brother, because these suckers were huge, and I think they were juveniles. And they're just both squawking at me, and I'm squawking back at them. And then Mom flies in, and she's got a big fish in her hand. She's like, come on, boys, forget that idiot. Let's go eat. So they took off. But I really got the tingles and everything. And I thought, oh, man, I don't even know if this place is for rent or anything. And it looks like, you know, nobody's been here a long time. The furniture's from, like, the 50s, you know. So I look the guy up on GIS and I call him and I say, hey, what's going on? You know, you want to rent to Uncle Guido? And it looks like it's a done deal. It's going to go down there. See, this is how the universe can speak to you. It'll send you messages through eagles. It'll tug on your guts, you know, and say, oh, what's that feeling I've got here? It'll send you pictures in your mind. And some of you may be clairaudient, so you might hear things, you know. Some of you might be clairsentient, so you might start smelling things. Whenever my mom shows up from the other side, I get this really weird whiff. She's announcing her presence. Mom, was that you? Okay. Anyway, way off track from the moon. What we're trying to do is gather up our wits and get a handle on our subconscious mind. You know, they always tell us you only use 5% of your brain. That's because like 70% of it's running just subconsciously. And there's so much untapped. So what these practices of doing, of learning how to strengthen your spiritual tan through the tarot, astrology, numerology, is to bring you to this state. Look at this happy little cherub riding his horse through the garden. Isn't that just cute? Oh, anyway, the sun represents your destiny of coming home, of remembering it all, of wakening up, and really harnessing the true power of God that resides in you. There's a little seed, a little spark in everything that's created, but especially in mankind. And God just says, God, I wonder if this joker's going to water his little seed and try to become something, or is he just going to play the games that society tells him, drinking his Heineken and wearing his ball cap, showing up to those jobs and paying those taxes and all that mundane man's world shit, going to concerts, yada, yada, yada. It just never ends. Right, Babu?
Yeah, definitely.
And see, that's what they tell you you're supposed to do. But then you got guys like, you know, Kuan Yin and the Buddha and Jesus telling you, hey, man, there's a hell of a lot more out there. Hell, what an interesting metaphor I just used there. I don't think there is a hell. What do you think of that? Okay, anyway, I think Uncle Guido is just driveling enough tripe so far, of course. We're trying to talk to you about the moon, and when that moon shows up, you want to pay attention to the cycles of the waning and the waxing. And this is just a symbol of the sine wave of life traveling through. You're on a high spot, you're on a low spot. Waning and waxing, waning and waxing. When you can learn how to dial into those energies and harness the peak moments to ride when you have the biggest juju pushing behind you, and know when to lay low. Hey, I'm down in the valley, I'm gonna take a little napsy poo. You know, it's just all like that. You you just really start to dial in. Now, I'm telling you, something's coming, folks. The great attractor at the end of the rainbow is pulling time faster and faster. We're rushing. Has everybody noticed that stuff goes fast these days? I mean, it's like, holy moly. Anyway, it's coming. I'm trying to get you ready. Babu, I think I'm just going to end this one right here. Work on your dream journals, y'alls. Watch Uncle Guido. Sign up, subscribe. Send me messages. I'll send you nickels. Anyway, adios. Uncle Guido over and out. Boom.